Saint Augustine, who lived from 354 until 430, was one of the most influential Christian thinkers of all time. His philosophy and theology has had a profound impact on the development of Western thought. Since his influence is so widespread, in this study review video I'll be limiting the discussion to 3 key points of his philosophy: epistemology, just war, and free will. Augustine's philosophy was shaped by his own personal experiences and religious journey from hedonism to Manichaeanism to Christianity. It was also influenced by interpretation of the Bible and his reading of classical philosophers such as Plato and Cicero. Augustine's epistemology, the theory of how we obtain knowledge, begins with the conviction that there is such a thing as truth and that it is accessible to human reason. Such conviction stood over against a major component in the philosophical milieu of the day called skepticism. Skepticism is the view that knowledge is impossible, or at least that we cannot be certain of anything. Augustine argued against skepticism by pointing out that we all have certain beliefs that we cannot doubt. For example, we cannot doubt that we exist or that we are having certain experiences. These beliefs, Augustine argued, are self-evident truths that are not based on any prior knowledge. Another facet of Augustine's epistemology is that it is a combination of rationalism and empiricism. He believed that we can acquire knowledge through both reason and sense experience. Augustine's rationalism is based on his theological doctrine of illumination. This doctrine holds that we can only know truth because God illuminates our minds with this knowledge. He believed that God is the source of all truth and, in this way, we can acquire certain knowledge. However, Augustine also believed that reason can be corrupted by sin. This is why he argued that we need the help of God's grace in order to achieve true knowledge. Augustine's empiricism is evident in his belief that we can acquire knowledge through our senses. He believed that our senses provide us with information about the world around us and that this information can be used to form beliefs. However, Augustine also believed that our senses can be deceived. He argued that we need to use reason, which he considered God's illumination, to assess the information that our senses gave us. Some critics have argued that Augustine's illumination theology is simply repackaged mysticism drawn from his youthful experiences. In response, Augustine's supporters have contended that his doctrine of illumination is simply a way of saying that we need God's help in order to achieve true knowledge. Now, we will take a look at Augustine's philosophy of just war. His just war theory is based on the belief that war is a necessary evil. He argued that war can be justified only if it is waged for a just cause, with the right intention, and with the proper authority. Augustine identified the just causes of war include self-defense, the defense of the innocent and the punishment of wrongdoing. He considered self-defense as the most basic just cause for war. His assertion was that we have the right to defend ourselves against aggression from others. Augustine also thought that it was just to defend people who are being persecuted or oppressed. He believed that there was a moral obligation to protect the innocent from harm. His last justification is perhaps the most controversial: waging war as punishment. This cause includes waging war against those who have committed serious crimes, such as aggression or genocide. Augustine argued that we have a right to punish those who have wronged us in order to deter future wrongdoing. The controversy arises from exactly who decides what should be considered wrongdoing. As for the right intention, he argued that this was to restore peace and order. He contended that war should not be waged for the sake of revenge or conquest. He thought that the right intention was to achieve peace, even in the midst of war. Augustine thought that the intention should be to uphold justice and to punish wrongdoing. But, he also held that the right intention should show mercy to the enemy, even in victory. As for proper authority, Augustine asserted that individuals should not take the law into their own hands, and that only a government has the right to declare war. Augustine believed that the proper authority for war is essential for its justification. He argued that if a war is not waged by a legitimate government, then it is not a just war. He further believed that war can be justified only if it is a last resort and only if there is a reasonable chance of success. He also believed that the use of force should be proportionate to the evil that is being fought. Augustine's just war theory has been criticized by some for being too restrictive. They argue that it makes it very difficult to justify war, even in cases where it seems clear that war is necessary. Others have criticized Augustine's just war theory for being too focused on the individual. They argue that Augustine does not give enough attention to the role of the state in waging war. They think that his theory does not take into account the complex political and social factors that can lead to war. For some reason, these critics make me want to listen to War Pigs and Fortunate Son. Now, for our last topic in today's video, Augustine's views on free will. Augustine believed that humans have free will, but that it is not absolute. He argued that our free will is limited by our sinful nature, which we inherited from Adam and Eve. This sinful nature makes us inclined to sin, and it can make it difficult to choose the good. However, Augustine also believed that God's grace can help us to overcome our sinful nature and to choose the good. He argued that grace is a gift from God that enables us to do what we cannot do on our own. His doctrine of grace is an important part of his understanding of free will. He believed, however, that grace is not irresistible. He said that we still have the freedom to reject grace, although it is very difficult to do so. Augustine's views on free will have been influential in the debate between free will and determinism. Determinism is the view that all events are determined by prior causes. If determinism is true, then it seems that free will is an illusion. Augustine thought that free will is compatible with determinism. He argued that even if all events are determined by prior causes, we still have free will because we are the ones who choose those causes. To conclude, here are 6 interesting facts about Saint Augustine. 1. His mother, Monica, was a devout Christian, while his father, Patricius, was a pagan. 2. He had a conversion experience in 386 AD, after reading the Bible and hearing a sermon by Ambrose of Milan. 3. Before he became a priest, he had a 15-year relationship with a woman and had a son with her. 4. He became the bishop of Hippo in 396 AD, a position he held until his death in 430 AD. 5. He had almost all of his sermons transcribed and preserved in his library. 6. When Vandals invaded and burned Hippo, they left Augustine's cathedral and library untouched. Thanks for watching. Please give us a like if you enjoyed this video and feel free to comment to let us know your thoughts on it. Also, check out our other study review videos on other philosophers and philosophies.